Come, whoever you are, whatever your age. We follow in the steps of those who have come before us through the cycles of life and through the community of this church. We know that still other generations will follow our steps. This morning in this sanctuary, feel the legacy of the generations past and the promise of those to come. Well, good morning and welcome, members, friends, and visitors to the Unitarian Universalists of the Chester River, where our mission is to inspire, inform, and support all who seek spiritual and personal growth and a more equal and just community. I'm Nancy Holland, your service leader this morning, joined with Reverend Sue and Michael at the piano and the staff and volunteers as noted in your order of service, who make these Sundays possible. I'm glad you're here with us this morning, be it in person, and welcome to those of you who are on Zoom, as we strive to widen our circle and welcome everyone to the table. And that's especially true this morning on our T-shirt Sunday service for all ages. It's great to look out and see. Not too colorful, actually. I was thinking, colorful, but a lot of them are dark. But anyway, your slogans, and we look forward to hearing about them as we go through the service today. And you may notice in the order of service, it's a little atypical today. We have no prelude, but you're going to get 6 opportunities to raise your voice in song together and exercise those vocal cords. When families get together, we hope it's for fun, right? And that people have a good time and some lighthearted celebration and share fun and gratitude. And we hope that... For a second. You got it. No problem. Sorry. No problem. And we hope that is the case today, that we have some lighthearted fun together. And also we are welcoming 2 new members to our congregation this morning, so that is another special treat for us. I'm going to move right into announcements. We have several. A reminder about the service auction on May 6th. Please get your donations of fun and exciting whatever into Darlene, and she said that we'll be starting to accept donations here at the church for both the yard sale and the auction in a couple of weeks, so don't bring them in yet, but get them ready. Reminder that today at 5 is the sock burning, followed by potluck. We always still need coffee hosts and greeters. So that's a nice way to get to know people if you're somewhat newer in the church. So please sign up on the whiteboard. And then the final reminder is that today after service, the Legacy Advisory Task Force will be holding the first listening session regarding the bequest from Doris Scott. And I hope that all of you will remain for that. And now, please join me as we light the chalice. Okay, sure. Good morning. Good morning. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within all creation. We light this chalice for truth. May the search for truth be with us always. We light this chalice for love. May the love for others be strong in our hearts. We're going to start with Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. So please rise in body or spirit. It is number 361 in your great hymnal, and we're going to need both hymnals to sort of keep us set nearby. Rejoice.
everybody. It is T-shirt Sunday, and it was so great to see the Kemp family pop in, because those are folks that have helped us with our posters. And if you came in, I've got a couple things, because today we're sort of having Camp UU. Think about Camp UU, and when you are getting to go to camp, they have like 16 ways you get to know each other that first day so that you can be best friends by the second day and can be sure you're crying that day that you go home because you've just left the best experience you've had. So I have a couple things. If you didn't wear a t-shirt today or bring a mug or wear a hat, it is fine because it just doesn't matter. Please go ahead anyway and fill out one of our little forms. We've got extras right here. I've got pencils. Maybe Nancy, if anybody wants one. There might be a few more out there. Write down the t-shirt you would have worn had you remembered. And anybody want to, yeah, Michael, okay. Read the newsletter, we're good, we're good. Others that have not filled out this little sheet. And all it does is ask you to tell about your t-shirt. We're putting them all in here, and the crew back there is going to help me in ways they don't even know about yet, so that's good. So, and if not, you can write on the back of one of the others. When I asked members, when Nancy and I were doing this, I've actually stole this idea you can sometimes steal things, it's okay, good ideas should be stolen, from my home congregation. But when I asked you to wear a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, I don't think there's anybody here who says, I think most people were saying, I wonder which one, versus I don't know what she's talking about. But we have not always had t-shirts with stuff written all over them. I'm looking at my lovely, I'm sure we're the oldest colleague here, Miss Cynthia Ramsey. From what I can tell, when she was a child, everybody didn't own 80 t-shirts that said stuff all across them. And in fact, one of the first recorded instances of people writing on t-shirts was in The Wizard of Oz. In The Wizard of Oz, one of the workers who's going to do some of the fixing of some piece of equipment had a t-shirt on. It was they were fixing the scarecrow and had a t-shirt on that said Oz. But that was 1939. And then the military took the idea of putting labels on folks to say, oh, you're this unit of the Air Force, or you're different pieces. So you had a lot of functional purposes. But then the technology gets better, because technology often drives our life, and they got so they could screen print things more and more cheaply. So by the 1960s, it became pretty evident, but I still don't think we had as many. I remember buying a t-shirt when I went to college, University of New Hampshire, who is not in the NCAA tournaments of any sort, but I didn't have many. But in time, t-shirts and sweatshirts and hats have defined us in a lot of ways. You had corporations like Nike's and Adidas telling you the brand of what you were wearing. There were political statements, nonprofits that we're going to hear about today, music groups, characters, souvenirs you'd buy. So that started. And then came the people like Shutterfly. How many people here have actually put a photo on a mug and given it as a gift? Hands up high. Not as many as I thought, maybe about a quarter or whatever. You can now, with digital photography, put photos on top of cakes. You can do all of this stuff. So it's sort of newish to our culture, and I think t-shirts and sweatshirts, they help us express our views and our joys. They give us a glimpse into our stories. They can even give us a sense of belonging. So what we're going to try to do here is to lean into the strengths, to get to know each other a bit better, and to hone our conversation skills. We are actually going to be working on how you express curiosity. about someone else. We hope to have some fun, but I also come in knowing that labels can divide us. Labels can be used to create sides, they can be mean. So we enter with awareness of the value of celebrating what we love and the risks that come with it. And we're gonna obviously go with the values. So as we get to know people today, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna recognize a couple of new members, and then we're gonna sing songs and go back and forth and do this. So Diane Shields, who is our chair of membership, if you can lead us through this, you can use that mic or you can use whatever you would like. And maybe explain what it means in our church to sign a membership book.
Well, to sign the membership book means that you are comfortable in wanting to join this congregation. It allows you to vote at any meetings. If you don't sign the book, you can come to the meetings and talk about whatever's going on, but you can't vote, so that's one thing. And we've had a steady number of new members over the years, and we have two to recognize today that signed most recently. And they are Peggy Christie, where is she? There she is. You want to come up front? And Mark, if you don't feel comfortable coming up here, you can sit right there and we'll take care of you from there. And you got your program. Do you have the insert to read along with?
Everybody should be insert.
So I'm going to read what it says under leader, and then I'm going to ask our two new members to recite what it says under new members, and then later the congregation will join in. It is a joy to welcome each of you into our community of memory and hope. Will you walk together with us, sharing the joys and the responsibilities of membership?
Yes, we join this congregation in the spirit of faith, hope, and community.
Members of the Unitarian Universalists of the Chester River, will you welcome these people into our congregation? Will you reach out to them in friendship, including them in our activities and fellowship? Will you be open to their unique gifts and perspectives? Will you extend a warm welcome to each of them, remembering that each of us was once a new member? Congregation?
Yes, we join our strengths, talents, and commitment with yours. You are a part of us, and we are a part of you.
Becoming a member of this church is an important step, but it's only a first step. I charge you new members to grow in your faith. More importantly, I charge you to find and share your special gifts with us. Ours is a shared ministry. Each of us has a crucial role to play. We need you. We need your energy. We need your ideas. Give generously of yourselves, and your rewards will be great. I invite you to light your candle from our candle. I guess we should do that, huh? Each of you brings light, vitality, and renewal to our community. Each of our lights has a common source. Together we form a beacon of hope to each other and to our wounded world. May your light shine brightly among us for many years.
My light shone brightly last week when I was the only person to arrive for the service at 11 o'clock. I need your strength.
I'll put this in here for you, Mark.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Welcome to your new church home. And I have a couple little things. I have new books that are introductions to Unitarian Universalists, which I ordered especially for today. And they're back home right next to this. So we'll get them to you next time, but we do have coffee mugs for you. And I guess after, should we do it now or
We should keep going,
keep going with the cups?
Either way is fine.
We'll do it after service. We have cups for both of you, and then there's a slew of people that have joined around COVID time who have not gotten their mugs, so we also have mugs for you all. Thank you.
And why don't we remain seated for this song, the next one, Come Sing a Song With Me. Number 346 in the gray.
So welcome new members. So we're going to do a little story for our time for centering, and if anybody has anything to add here, maybe I'll just randomly read one or two of these to find out something about our people here. Or no. The title of the shirt is Cat King. It's 5 years old. The cat who comes to mind is Harvey, and it's in honor of a dearly departed tuxedo cat, Harvey, who ruled the house. Some of the shirts we have. Tell us about your t-shirt, hat, and mug. Kimball and Kin. The shirt was born about 1994, and it reminds them of all aunts and uncles, cousins, and cousins. So there are many stories in the room. So we're going to tell a story today called Brick by Brick. And all summer, if you picture, there have been workers who've been building a brick wall along the road by my neighborhood, the author says. It's by Meg Barnhouse. In the brutal heat, there's a tarp that's stretched overhead to get a little shade. She says, I've watched them as they take the bricks in their dusty brown hands, one by one, butter them thickly with mortar and line them up. She wonders, what is it that keeps them going? The person doing the bricklaying seems to love what he's doing. I wonder how he can love building walls day after day, handling bricks, teaching others the art of laying the bricks. I wonder, is it the teaching he loves? Is it seeing students learn what their styles are? Does he actually love maybe the wall itself? Does he know when it will be done? Does he look forward to getting that wall done? Or does he just love the process, the feel of the bricks in his hands? She keeps watching. I think from the look in his face, he loves the process. I don't think he ever thinks about the end of the project, the completion of the wall, because he'll just go on to the next wall and the next wall. She thinks, I want to be like that. In my job as minister, the bricks are the stories. I hear the stories of family and work, stories of loss and reconciliation, stories of rejection and disaster and illness and healing. I tell stories every Sunday, and in between teaching and challenging and inviting people to learn and laugh and think, I hear more stories. Brick by brick, story by story, we build a church, seeing patterns and symmetry, the plain joy of just setting one story on the other, sustained by the strong and beautiful structures they make. We will never be finished, and that's okay. Our job as a congregation is storytelling to one another in many forms, not just stories that you read in books, but the little bits we share. And one of the ways we do that each week is by our acknowledgement of our joys and sorrows. And so Nancy will lead us as we light those candles. It's our intergenerational service, so we do it in that way of just touching base with one another on something maybe significant that happened this week or a milestone. So Nancy, lead us there.
And I'll light the first candle for those in our congregation. We have a few who are recovering from surgeries or procedures or various other illnesses and things. Keep them all in our hearts. And if anyone else would like to come up and share? Oh, Linda's even got a prop, huh?
And I'd like Annie and Jim to come on.
This is so much fun because this just happened to me yesterday. You'll come help. You'll understand. You're brave. I was given the honor of keeping some beautiful things from some dear friends that we will remember. And it has a lot to do with symbols and things like we're talking about today. So I think there was some, premonition about this. So we have above us a beautiful chalice. And my friend Robin Abel was a stained glass maker. She died in 2013. And her husband Mike Off died in 2017. They were neighbors. And when we were building this church, several of us said we need some stained glass. And we tried to figure out how to do that. And I mentioned Robin. And lo and behold, when Robin died, Mike gave me stuff to put in the attic. There were Robin's designs, and I never looked at them because it's a huge box. So, Annie, if you'll undo this, you will see that we have the original drawings and all the cut pieces that Robin used to make our stained glass. I think it was 2008 or 9, and I remember Annie and Jim, and I can't remember who else went with me to Robin's house several times to make this design and give it approval. And it's just kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, anyway, that's my surprise. Thank
We remember Robin every time we look at that window.
Well, I'm remembering two people who are losses in my life and the lives of my family and good friends. So one was that my uncle, Willie, who was in his mid-90s, lived in Annandale, Virginia. I got a note from his wife, Jeannie, who was my mother's sister, that he passed away on the 15th. And he was a good man. He had a good life, I think he was an engineer. He was just always a good man, looked after his sister-in-law, my mother. So he'll be missed. And I wish we had spent more time with them. And the other person I want to remember is my friend's son, Mark, McDonald. And he died this time last year from sudden cardiac arrest due to a the medical condition he had. He was just almost 37. So I'm keeping in my hearts my friend Lori and her husband Bob, his sister Megan, as they go, the last year's been hard for them. So this is like a week where they'll be having a lot of thoughts about Mark. Thanks.
Good morning. I want to read something about my uncle Joe. He was a Jesuit priest, and after Pearl Harbor, he asks his authorities in the Jesuit place where Holy Cross if he could join the chaplain corps, and he did. He was on board an aircraft carrier, 3 football fields long. It was bombed off this close to Japan in World War II. He's the only chaplain in all of naval history to get the Congressional Medal of Honor, and the only chaplain in all of World War I and World War II to get that honor. And I'd like to read part of the citation for you. The conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity beyond the call of duty while serving as chaplain on board the USS Franklin, when that vessel was fiercely attacked by enemy Japanese aircraft during offensive operations near Kobe, Japan on 19 March 1945. This is the anniversary today. A valiant and forceful leader, calmly braving the perilous barriers of flame and twisted metal. To aid his men in his ship, Lieutenant Commander O'Callaghan groped his way through smoke-filled corridors to the open flight deck and into the midst of violently exploding bombs, shells, rockets, and other armament. With the ship rocked by incessant explosions, with debris and fragments raining down, and fires raging in ever-increasing fury, he ministered to the wounded and dying, comforting and encouraging men of all faiths. He organized and led firefighting crews into the blazing inferno on the flight deck. He directed the jettisoning of live ammunition and the flooding of the magazine. The magazine was loaded with shells, about 50 pounds each, I think. No, more than that. He had very severe claustrophobia. Someone had to get in the magazine to hold him up. He went inside the magazine, as you can read, with the fires licking up this. What is it? Licking, that's the word. Thank you. Can you read the rest of it? I'm having trouble with my eyesight. He manned a hose to cool hot armed bombs rolling dangerously on the listing deck, continuing his efforts despite searing, suffocating smoke which forced men to fall back, gasping and imperiled others who replaced them. Serving with courage, fortitude, and deep spiritual strength, Lieutenant Commander O'Callaghan inspired the gallant officers and men of the Franklin to fight heroically and with profound faith in the face of almost certain death, and to return their stricken ship to port. He is my most important teacher. My most important teacher. And I think of him actually every day, and also my aunt, who at the same time was in a Japanese internment camp for 3 years in the Philippines. And she was rescued. The paratroopers were sent in. The Navy, maybe it must have been the Army, they broke the code, Japanese code, and they sent paratroopers in, and she was and all the other nuns and so on. Anyway.
Thank you.
I'm not. Take this one to.
Well, my joy this morning is being celebrated as a new member. Petrified when I walked through the doors, not knowing anybody. And I give credit to my cat for doing it. Because otherwise I probably wouldn't be here. But this was the best thing I've ever done in my life. I've met new people. It's the only place I can come and see this many smiles at one time for an hour. And I really, really appreciate being a member here. Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, for those joys and concerns that we may still hold in our hearts, maybe take a moment of silence. Blessed be. Now's the time in our service when we give our thanks and our support to the mission and programs of this community. We are now the keepers of the flame.
For folks that want to gear up, we are going to sing this next song in a round, sort of our offertory music in parallel. So Philip Dutton, Nancy Holland, and Jan doesn't even know he's going to do this, but I think he could help too. Roughly, because I want to make sure we get some of the telling of the stories in here. Roughly from about Linda Dutton and David over is group 1, Diane to Annie Lavin's group 2. You guys are a small and mighty group 3. Do we think we can do a round? What do you think, Nancy? Why don't you come up and direct your group? You got Philip's there.
Let's all sing it unison the first time.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe Michael could do
All right, maybe up one time.
This is our gratitude for our offering. Thank you. 188. Yeah.
Ready? Okay, one, and you grab. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of believing, horses, O caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come.
Okay, sorry, no,
Yep.
too slow here.
Start over again.
All right, we go with.
Thank you, Group 1.
We're just setting an example.
Okay.
You're gonna cue your group,
I
right?
will, this
And-
time, yes.
We gotta get this. Yeah. All right, everybody ready? Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of believing, causes of
if you go to General Assembly, that is one of the core UU songs that folks sing. And now Nancy, and all the papers that are here is your reading. I have it, I think it's probably there. Mine is there, my version is there, or you can go to use that.
This is a reading from Jennifer Kitchen, Come Sit by Our Fire. You'll recognize this. Come sit by our fire and let us share stories. Let me hear your tales of far-off lands, wanderer, and I will tell you of my travels. Share your experience of the holy with me, worshiper, and I will tell you of that which I find divine. Come and stay, lover of leaving, for ours is no caravan of despair, but of hope. We would hear your stories of grief and sorrow as readily as those of joy and laughter, for there is a time and a place and a hearing for all the stories of the world. Stories are the breath and word of the spirit of life, the power that we name love. Come, for our fire is warm and we have seats for all. Come again and yet again. Come speak to me of what fills your heart, what engages your mind, what resides in your soul. Come, let us worship together.
So we are now going to have the part. We did decide against having everybody come to the mic and tell us about your t-shirt. For a whole lot of reasons, that wasn't going to work. What's less, it's funny that Linda said she doesn't see the bright colors. I wasn't sure if we'd see sports teams, political messages, I'm sorry, Nancy said that, family connections. But what I want us to practice here is asking more questions. How might these t-shirts or hats or theoretical t-shirts, if you didn't have one, how might they help us learn to ask good, open-ended questions and then listen? So in a minute, you're going to break into groups of two without too much jostling with somebody you don't know as well. And I do understand the volume will be a little high, but we're going to try it. But Nancy and I thought we would model this. I think she remembers we talked about this week. We'll find out. So what we're going to do is try to ask 5 questions of your partner and see where the story goes. Don't worry too much about it just being about the shirts, but can you ask 5 questions and then listen for the answer? So Nancy, you can ask me questions first. We did not plan on 30 degrees. And if you want to write down what your t-shirt is. So my t-shirt was given to me by somebody in the Arlington congregation. What does it say? Sermonator. So Nancy, what are you curious about?
So why did you choose to wear that today?
Well, funny story. I had all these t-shirts out, and then I was looking for something else, and I found it, and I thought black was more slenderizing. Ask another question.
I dare you.
How do you know the person who gave that to you?
It's actually somebody a lot of people here know. It's Ann Davis, and she often gives ministers and other people, she gives everybody I know birthday presents. So she's a congregant. What else can you imagine? What might I think about with sermons or anything?
Yeah, well, as you write your sermons, do you think of being the sermonator?
I would say mostly not, but there's a listserv on Saturday nights of ministers that are still writing, and they call each other sermonators. And that's probably, and then there's another minister named Dennis McCarthy, and he sends out late Saturday night or early Sunday morning a prayer and blessing for all of us preaching today, just giving us good words.
Do you consider the sermon the most important part of what you do?
No. I think my strengths are more doing crazy, weird stuff like, let's have a t-shirt Sunday. One more question.
This is hard.
Did you see the crane?
Did you what? See the,
Did you see the crane? Do you come across the Bay Bridge when you come here?
Oh, no, I don't. I came from Easton today. Okay, so we've got our 5 questions. We're good. That's great. Nancy, is that your shirt?
yes.
Wow. Okay, well, tell me about your shirt. Let's start with an easy question.
Okay. So every year I take a vacation with my daughters and their families, the grandkids. And this was a family project. We all made a t-shirt 2 years ago. And my granddaughter had the idea of using bleach, painting bleach. So everyone made something different. Mine, because I'm not artistic, I copied this symbol, which is the symbol for journey. And thought that was appropriate as I continue my journey.
So how did you pick journey?
Well, it just seemed like journeying through life, journeying with these kids every year. I really appreciate that they still want to get together every year.
Yeah, it's nice to be wanted. How many grandchildren do you have?
4.
4.
Yeah.
What was the
2
granddaughter's
daughters.
name? Who was the one who thought of the?
Grace, she's the artistic one. She wants to be, she's 16 and she wants to be a baker and have a bakery and a clothing store. And she would do the baking and decorating and design the clothing.
So she's got a plan. So my final question, did anybody spill bleach and make a mess out of something?
No, they all came out amazingly well.
Okay, so, and your name is Nancy Holland, and you've been coming to this church for at least 15 years, okay? And do you remember my name?
Sue Browning, Reverend Sue Browning, yes.
Yes, I've been here
For 2, 4, 6, 7?
6, yeah, it's my 6th year. So what we just modeled, you're gonna do it in groups of 2. Don't stress if it doesn't actually work out. But if you walk out knowing one person you didn't know as well, if it's a little hard to hear, we understand that, whatever. But we're not gonna get to know each other in our communities if we're not going beyond the hi, how are you, what's the weather questions. So I invite you now, spouses ideally are not together, mix it up. If you have the courage and you're somebody, let's say, under 25, and would like to pair with somebody a little different, that would be great. If you have the courage, if you want to pair with each other, that's great. So find your partners, about 2 minutes each, and just questions, and we understand this is going to be a little loud. Go for it.
This might be
So I was either with Elias or Theo, he won't exactly confirm where I was. I know which one, I can tell you the stories. It's interesting when you confirm names and you're talking to an identical twin. I know that was a little crazy. Nancy and I knew that when we started experimenting with this. But do you know that person a little better right now? Everybody here, could you tell in a grocery store the name of that person? Could you say hi to that person by name?
Yeah.
Did you have anything that, we're not going to go through here, we know we have so many stories, we're going to literally tape all these up around, so you'll see them on the doors, you'll see what people had. You know, I'd love to go, you know, who thinks they have the oldest t-shirt in the room? What year, Annie?
1997.
1997, somebody else already did 1994.
Oh.
Margot?
94.
94, pretty good. Margot, or you, Terry?
1968.
1968. She's afraid to, a little afraid to wash it. Fonte, you think you have the oldest?
Like 89, maybe.
89, that's up there. Yeah, we keep shirts. What's interesting is the Moms Demand Action shirt I pulled out of a wrapper today, because somebody handed me to that, and somebody said, well, which other shirts did you pick? And I'm adapting us a little bit here, Nancy, so we'll do building bridges in a minute, but it was interesting, the Unitarian Universalists had standing on the side of love for a while, and then they realized not everybody can stand, and they moved to side with love because you could still get the same message across. It got everybody to buy another t-shirt. In a color that is the color of a school bus, that is the worst color on it. Literally somebody said that to me, so that one was not gonna happen today. But what I hope folks took away from that, we're gonna do another round, we'll do the same groups. For folks that need to study up, it's 1023 building bridges. And then we'll have a few wrap up words. We may not do the final song, we'll see how we're doing. But I want folks to think about building bridges as we go through another short one that was similar to Come, whoever you are.
I don't even know what page.
1023 in the teal hymnal. Okay, song yours.
Could you maybe play it once through?
Nancy's on it. She's with her group.
Let's all sing it together first. Here we go. Ready. Building
winding down. But I want folks, I don't know, let me just read a couple more. It's much more interesting than anything I wrote here on any lessons. Forgot to bring it. The t-shirt they forgot to bring is 27 years old. What comes to mind is my nephew. And one more thought, don't forget so much. Okay, the final one I'm just going to read, but we're going to tape these all over and leave them up for a few weeks. The title of the t-shirt, and I want you to know my husband and I debated last night as I'm typing this up. Is it description of the t-shirt? Is it title of the t-shirt? What would get people? Things were tense. This one says Big Island Ski Company. Whose is that? Dante, ooh, way before you were born. It's 30 years old, and you think of your grandfather? And he visited my uncle in Hawaii and got this shirt. Ski, that's interesting. He was, he got a hat or a sweater for everyone that went, and I have many of his shirts, the flannel shirts he wore. So, what I look out for is, when I look out, some of you have known each other for 20, 30 years. Some of you have not. And then we throw in a pandemic just to find out how relationships go. Whatever works for you, not only your relationships in this congregation, but your relationships in your neighborhood, your relationships with your family, when we take it to the next level, when we get to the third question, or the fourth question, or we get curious, we sometimes realize some of the assumptions we had made were wrong. Who would have thought one of the oldest shirts was worn by one of our teens? We make assumptions, we forget to get to know everybody, we use the shirts in sometimes odd ways. But the message today is pretty simple. Trust in the connections you already know how to make, but take the time to make them. This congregation is enriched every time we have greeters and coffee hosts, not only because you feel a sense of belonging here, but because that is the foundation when we go out and do our work in the community. When we make decisions together about how to spend legacy funds or do different things, we do so from a place of curiosity and fun and joy. Because pretty much nothing happens out of spaces of joy, shame or sadness or whatever. So today has been an experiment. I'm so grateful to my experimentation partner, Nancy. We are not singing this last song in rounds. So Philip and Jan, round for you. Nice job. For our teenagers and our youth folks, Jean Michael couldn't be here today, but you'll see the poster. They've been thinking about this t-shirt for a bit, and we're thinking about different ways we can do intergen services. We've got extra snacks, thanks for our coffee maker, and we will be busy taping up these all around. I can't resist reading one more. The title is To Somewhere New, approximate age of the item, it doesn't exist. And he's thinking something, or he or she is Rick Steves, comes to mind, who's the travel guy on PBS. And the question is Amtrak Zephyr for me? Good questions. Take the questions down one more level. Nancy, anything else before we try when the Spirit says do, which we will stand and do together? Is that good with you?
Yes.
We're good, and then we will have coffee and legacy. Catherine?
Can you read that for those of us that can't see it? Read the poster?
Oh, read the whole thing, yeah.
Intergen T-shirt Sunday. Wear a shirt that tells a story. Picture of the t-shirt. It says be kind, little bumblebee here. March 19th at 10 a.m. Reverend Sue Browning minister. And then there's a hat that say your message here.
Yeah.
And but we all did. I think did anybody bring a hat or a mug? Cynthia. Okay. Yes, I have, okay.
Yeah. And so the kids have been thinking about this for a bit. We're starting to play with new ideas. We'll keep regrouping. I got to, learn about rowing teams. And I know almost everybody here would love to have those same questions, but I think our decision not to pass the mic was a good one. So this is a song we are going to stand up for, and we will do the first three. Sing, dance, and laugh verses, and that will probably be about right. Okay. It is 10:24 in this book. Please stand in body or spirit. Did you start us for Nancy?
10:24.
10:24. Give us, when you want us to sing, Michael, raise your hand and tell us. There. So Nancy and I, we will now extinguish the chalice. We'll do our benediction and then head out to coffee as the postlude is going on today. I think works best. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again.
remember, get your coffee and then pretty
Lots of
quickly
good
maybe. Yes, we could come back in. I hope that all of you will join us for the legacy listening session.
Thank you for trying this.